From the dreaded bullet ant to the horrifying tarantula hawk wasp, plus a surprising fish with a bite that kills, here are 10 creatures with the most painful bites and stings. Number 10. The Black Sea Urchin. Out of all the creatures with the most painful bites and stings, the Black Sea Urchin is probably the most obvious. Out of all the animals we'll talk about today, the Black Sea Urchin is the most noticeable thing you should never touch. This creature is literally covered with spikes. Nothing about it suggests that you should pick it up. And if for whatever reason you did pick up a Black Sea Urchin, you would be in immediate pain. These animals are not aggressive, but they do hang out all across the world, in cold water and warm water, and often in shallow rock pools and coral reefs where people might be swimming. Even if you didn't pick up the sea urchin on purpose, you could still make physical contact with it. And if that happens, or if you accidentally step on one, you are going to be in for a world of hurt. First, you will have immediate pain upon physical contact with a Black Sea Urchin. You will probably have puncture wounds on your skin that will look like botched acupuncture. The puncture wounds can become infected, but your more immediate problem will be the horrible stinging pain and the black colour coming from sudden bruises at the site of contact. The biggest issue here is that if you get deep puncture wounds, you may need serious medical attention. A deep puncture wound from one of these horrifying creatures can lead to muscle aches, shock, paralysis, respiratory failure, and even death. Number 9. Tarantula hawk wasp. Getting stung by a wasp absolutely stinks. It's probably one of the worst experiences you can have while hanging out in your garden just minding your own business. But there is one wasp that has the most painful sting of all. It's known as the tarantula hawk wasp, and it's an absolute nightmare. Even spiders are terrified of this monster. They can reach almost 4.5 inches in length, and they live all across Latin America and in southern parts of the United States. The reason these critters are called tarantula hawk wasps is because they actually hunt tarantulas. Yes, tarantulas are generally larger than the wasps, but maybe that's half of the fun for the predators. While the hawk wasp is incredibly dangerous to tarantulas, doing horrible things like laying their larvae inside of them so that their offspring burst through the dead body of the spider, humans are less vulnerable. But its sting still hurts. In fact, the tarantula hawk wasp has the second most painful sting in the entire world, beaten only by the bullet ant. The professional entomologist who created the Sting Pain Index and who has experienced more stings voluntarily than any other person in the world has said that the only thing to do when stung by the tarantula hawk wasp is to lay down and scream. It's unbearably painful, but at least the pain only lasts for about 5 minutes. Have you ever been stung by a bee? What happened? Tell me about your bee, wasp or hornet sting experience in the comments below. Then, be sure to subscribe to Epic Wildlife to get more awesome videos just like this one. Number 8. Red harvester ant. If you've ever been bitten by a common fire ant, you know that these tiny critters can do some serious damage. However, on the infamous pain scale, fire ants are only rated a 1, while red harvester ants are rated as 3. The pain from a red harvester ant is excruciating. Just like fire ants, these monsters have perfected the art of pain. It starts with them biting you with their mandibles, then stinging repeatedly by pivoting around with their mandibles stuck inside your skin, injecting venom over and over again as they sting and sting and sting. Red harvester ants are the terrifying insects described in Apache legends, in which tribes would abandon their enemies on mounds of these ants so that they suffered until death, being bitten thousands of times before succumbing to the deadly venom. However, this may have only happened in legends and movies. Perhaps the worst part about being bitten by a red harvester ant is that the cocktail of enzymes inside the venom it injects into you causes blistering pain to last anywhere from 4 to 12 hours. Not only that, but the venom from harvester ants gets more painful as time goes on, and it doesn't stay localized. The pain will spread from the original sting site, causing everything else to hurt as well. The only good news is that you probably won't die, unless you fall onto an anthill. Number 7. Amazon giant centipede. The Amazon giant centipede is also known as the Peruvian giant yellow leg centipede. This freak of nature is not only found in the jungles of South America, but also in some areas of the Caribbean. This terrifying critter can be found in the Virgin Islands, in Jamaica, and even in Puerto Rico, so think about this on your next Caribbean vacation. These centipedes are not scary only because they grow to be about a foot long, or because they hang from cave ceilings and eat bats, but also because they have a very painful bite. The Amazon giant centipede is obviously a carnivore, and it will eat anything it can catch. It can't catch a human, but if you're silly enough to place your hand down anywhere near one of these mortifying giants, it won't mind chomping down on your finger. And when this happens, a toxin will be injected into your body that will cause severe pain. The venom is not deadly to a human, but you will experience swelling, redness, chills, weakness, and a searing pain that can last for up to 12 hours. It's actually very rare to be bitten by a giant centipede because they typically run away if they think you're near, but the few people who have been bitten describe the pain as excruciating. Number 6. Gila Monster. Let's step back from creepy insects and take a look at the Gila Monster, which is one of the scariest and yet somehow cutest reptiles in the world. You can find Gila monsters throughout the northern desert in Mexico and in the southwestern United States. And while the Gila monster is no more dangerous than a baby crocodile, they can bite you with a ridiculous amount of force and make you cry for mercy. The reason for the Gila monster's brutal reputation is that when they bite their victim, they don't let go. The reptile will sink its teeth into you or anyone else it feels threatened by, and then shake its head around so that its teeth create a larger and larger wound. And while that's happening, the venom from the monster's saliva is dripping inside of the wound and causing even more pain. Most people say that the only way to get the lizard's mouth open and off your skin is by using a long stick. The reptile is like a living bear trap. It clamps down and never lets go. And with so much venom in your bloodstream, you will soon begin to experience nausea, weakness, severe vomiting, uncontrollable sweating, and chills and a fever. You might even experience difficulties breathing, which can lead to serious health problems. If you do manage to get the lizard off and shoo it away, get ready for pain that will last a few days. Number 5. Lionfish Spines. Lionfish are basically the porcupines of the ocean. They may look delicate and harmless with their spiky fins, but they are actually harbingers of serious pain. The lionfish is a meat eater. The female can lay 2 million eggs each year, and they have actually bloomed in numbers in North America because people are releasing them into the wild from their aquariums. And because the lionfish has no natural predators in Atlantic waters, they are capable of reducing the local fish population by up to 70%. But as for the pain that these fish can cause, it's all about their spines. The pain from touching a lionfish occurs the moment that its spikes pierce your skin, and in the following hours you will experience redness, muscle weakness, and an aggravating tingling sensation. This is the last fish you want to accidentally touch while in the water. Depending on how many spines pierced your flesh, you can bet on increased heart rate, excruciating abdominal pain as if you had food poisoning, and even fainting, which is obviously not ideal when you're in the ocean. What's even worse is that the pain from a lionfish sting can last from between 8 hours to 30 days. You can typically treat the wounds at home, but it's a bit of a nightmare. According to the official poison.org website, you must first remove the spines, which, just like porcupine spines, will get stuck inside of your skin. But unlike porcupine spines, the ones from the lionfish contain venom glands. If you accidentally squeeze the venom gland while trying to remove the spine, you're actually going to pump more venom inside of you, which will add to the pain. Plus, sometimes the spines can break and get left inside of your skin, which can lead to even more pain down the road, either days or weeks later. Number 4. Stonefish. The stonefish is another fish that has mastered the art of delivering pain. The problem with the stonefish is that you would never see it coming. These aquatic nightmares blend in perfectly with the rocks on the bottom of the ocean. However, they don't live at the bottom of the ocean. They hang out often in shallow places where you might be walking while on a beach vacation. And if you happen to step on the face of a stonefish, expect to be bitten on the foot. And let's be honest, if somebody stepped on your face, you would probably bite them in the foot as well. The venom from a stonefish sting, as they actually sting with a barb rather than bite with their mouths, causes intense pain. An example is a news story in which a man from Ireland stepped on a stonefish and within just 10 minutes was in some of the worst pain of his life. This makes a lot of sense considering the stonefish is, in fact, the most venomous fish in the entire world. The venom from this fish does not only cause severe pain and swelling. The venom can also kill your skin tissue, stop your limbs from functioning, and put your body into a devastating shock. The Irishman who got bit on his foot claims that it felt like somebody was hitting him in the foot with a hammer, then grinding it with a nail file. Others have described the pain as being burned constantly with an oxyacetylene torch. The good news is that the Irishman lived, as is usually the case from stonefish stings. Number 3. Pit viper. It's no surprise that the pit viper is poisonous, but its bite is surprisingly more painful than many other poisonous snakes. And when we're talking pit vipers, we're talking about rattlesnakes, copperheads, and cottonmouths. When you get bit by one of these vipers, sometimes you don't even see the marks right away. Their fangs are so thin that you might not see any disturbance at first on your flesh, but just give it a few minutes, those symptoms will soon kick in. And it's going to suck. The first symptoms include burning pain, rapid swelling of the infected area, bruising, a horrible metallic taste in the mouth, numbness of the tongue, swelling in the throat, and other general signs of shock. But in terms of pain, it doesn't get much worse than the pit viper. People have described the sensation like being stabbed repeatedly with red-hot pokers. It is an unpleasant experience, and one that you'd never want to have yourself. Number 2. Bullet ant. Speaking of unpleasant experiences, there is no worse experience you can have in your life in terms of raw pain than being stung by a bullet ant. As you probably know by now, the bullet ant has the most painful sting out of any insect in the entire world. It's not even up for discussion, it's just a raw fact. The pain from being stung by a bullet ant has often been compared to being shot with an actual gun. The truly excruciating part about the bullet ant sting is that it lasts for somewhere between 12 and 24 hours, and the pain is severe until it's gone. Of course, these little ants are unable to kill you unless you have an allergic reaction, but they certainly cause excruciating agony. Even after the 24 hours is over and the pain has subsided, many people have reported uncontrollable shaking that has lasted for much longer. The toxin inside the bullet ant venom is known as ponerotoxin, and it works on the central nervous system. In addition to causing the worst pain of your life, the ponerotoxin can induce temporary paralysis and the involuntary shaking we already discussed. And as if all that weren't bad enough, while you're enduring 24 hours of blistering pain, you can go ahead and have a fever, vomit quite a bit, be horribly nauseous, and generally miserable. Number 1. Box jellyfish. The box jellyfish is without a doubt one of the most lethal marine animals found in the oceans of our world. Not because it can eat you or bite your head off, but because it can sting. These weird jelly monsters with their clear white tendrils are things that haunt divers in their nightmares. The largest of all the box jellyfish is roughly 1 foot wide with tentacles that stretch at least 10 feet. As you can probably imagine, trying to escape the clutches of such a slippery beast once you're already upon it would be impossible. Nobody wants to touch the jellyfish, but because it's translucent, sometimes it's too late and you've already been stung. The pain from a box jellyfish is ridiculous. But not only is it painful, it's also fatal. According to a report from Healthline, a recent study examined incidents with box jellyfish on some islands in Thailand, and the results showed that out of 15 cases, at least 6 were fatal. Also, out of all the fatal experiences, serious symptoms were exhibited within just a few minutes. These symptoms include unbelievable pain that makes you want to weep and scream, red skin covered in what might look like caterpillar tracks, sudden disorientation, loss of consciousness, and a sudden heart attack. If you had to suffer the pain caused by one of these animals, which one would you choose? Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much for stopping by and watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe. See you again soon.